The room is still dark, not just dim, but fully cloaked in the kind of night that swallows shadows whole. You wake not because you're done sleeping, but because the work won't wait. There is no clock to check, no alarm to dismiss, only the quiet pull of duty, etched deep into the rhythm of your body, as surely as flour has worked its way into the creases of your hands. You swing your feet down from the low cot. The stone floor bites with a kind of chill that feels older than the building itself. You don't flinch. Your toes find a pair of thick woolen socks tucked knee-high, still damp from yesterday's sweat and oven heat. A faint draft whistles through the shutter cracks. The thatch above you groans slightly in the wind, and something, perhaps a cat, or perhaps a rat, skitters through the rafters. This is the hour before the rooster, before the church bell, before anything except bread. You move slowly through the small space of your home. The fire's gone cold. The hearth holds nothing but last night's ash, gray and sleeping like it knows the hour too. You gather kindling by memory. A crooked twig, some bark, a knot of straw kept dry in the corner. There is no rush, but still, a kind of silent urgency guides you. Not panic, never that. Just a knowing. The dough must be started. The fire must be lit. And the town will stir soon. Hunger curling in bellies that do not know your name, but depend on you all the same. You crouch at the hearth and strike flint to steel. The first spark dies before it can even breathe. The second hisses and flickers, then fades. But the third catches. You coax it with breath, slow and steady, like encouraging a shy child. The flame curls up in gold, licking the straw, warming the air just enough to hint at comfort. It is not much, but it is everything. You feed the fire gently. Let it grow wild enough to promise heat, but not so wild it forgets its place. Soon, the hearth will rule, but for now, it pairs. You reach for your flour sack. Rough linen, tied with a fraying cord. You untie it carefully, not because the sack is delicate, but because something in you respects it. You measure with your hand. No scales, no weights. Only muscle memory and the quiet mathematics of repetition. A handful, 2, 4. You lose count deliberately. You trust your body to remember what the mind forgets in the dark. Next comes the water, drawn last night from the town well, stored in a stone jug at the edge of the room. It's cool to the touch, slightly metallic on the tongue. Clean enough. You pour it slowly. The flour sighs beneath it. Yeast, not from a packet, not from a jar, but from a jar of yesterday's memory. You uncover the crock of sour starter. Its surface slightly bubbly. Its scent sour and alive. You give it a stay. It resists, then yields. Like all good things. You add it to the bowl. Thick ribbons of potential. You stir, not with a spoon, but with your fingers. Because that's how you know it's ready. That's how your mother did it. And her mother. And the one before that. Whose name is now lost, but whose dough still lives in every loaf. You knead slowly. There is no reason to rush. In fact, there is every reason not to. Kneading is not just about bread. It is about listening. It is about feeling the flour's resistance. The way it pushes back. The way it begins to soften. You stretch it. Fold it. Turn it. Press. Your hands know this dance well. Better than any song. Better than any prayer. The dough begins to change, from rough to smooth, from cool to warm beneath your palms. It breathes, in its own quiet way. A faint glow seeps in through the shutters. Not full daylight, just the faintest whisper of it, like the world is beginning to remember itself. You shape the dough into rounds. Cover them with a linen cloth. Let them rest. There's still so much to do. The oven hasn't even been warmed yet. But this moment, this very small, quiet moment, is yours. You sit beside the hearth, hands dusted in flour, legs outstretched on the stone floor. The fire hums behind you, casting a flickering light across your tools. The dough rises slowly in its bowl, as if dreaming of the loaves it might become. Outside, the rooster stays. But you have already begun. The warmth of the fire grows behind you now. You can feel it, gently wrapping your back and shoulders, melting the morning chill that once clung to your skin like damp linen. You've been kneading long enough to fall into the rhythm. The deep, quiet rhythm of hands and breath. There is no rush. The day is still young. The light outside still pale, like a memory that hasn't fully returned. You stand before the old table. It's worn smooth by decades of use. The wood marked by flour and blade, by elbows and laughter and the soft weight of dough rising under linen. This is your workspace. Not sacred, exactly, but familiar, kind. It asks nothing more from you than patience, and the willingness to begin again, each day. The flour is already waiting. Fine, pale, slightly cool to the touch. You run your fingers through it, watching it drift like snow. It came from the miller 2 days ago. Stone ground, sifted through cloth, and traded for coin, or, on quieter weeks, for bread itself. You add more to the bowl, then water, just enough. You never measure, not by numbers, not by scale, only by feel, by how the flour reacts, by how it pulls or slackens beneath your hand. You stir slowly, wooden spoon at first. Then, inevitably, your hand. You press your palm into the mixture. The coolness of water meets the dryness of flour. A conversation, not yet a harmony. Your fingers curl, scoop, turn, fold. Your hand becomes the spoon, the whisk, the memory. You work gently at first, then more firmly. You know the signs. The texture just before it turns. The stickiness that gives way to softness. Soon the dough begins to form. A single shape, slowly pulling inward. It resists, then accepts. Like always, the sour starter is the soul of it. It smells. Alive. Slightly tangy. Earthy. A whisper of yesterday. Reawakened in a clay jar. You add a portion. Not much. Just a few generous spoonfuls. It weaves itself in. Not instantly, but inevitably. The dough changes again. Becomes something fuller. Richer. With more weight. More promise. Kneading is a kind of listening. You can feel when the dough is tight. When it fights back. Or when it folds in on itself too easily. So you guide it. Stretch. Fold. Turn. Press. The motion is circular. Soothing. Your hands fall into a rhythm. They've always known. Even before you learned. The fire beside you crackles. A comforting sound. Not loud. Just present. Like a sleeping pet in the corner. Like a friend who doesn't need to speak. Outside, a distant dog barks once. Then falls quiet again. Somewhere, a bird begins to stay. Testing the air with cautious song. But inside this kitchen, there's only dough. And warmth. And time. After a while. 10 minutes. 15. You stop kneading. You lift the dough, cupping it gently, as if it might still bruise. It's smooth now. Soft, but strong. Not sticky anymore. Not dry either. Just right. You place it into a proofing bowl. Cover it with a cloth, one that still smells faintly of last week's batch. And you let it rest. Covered. Safe. Rising slowly in the warmth. Becoming. You wipe your hands clean, though the flour remains. In the creases of your fingers. Under your nails, on the edge of your sleeve. It will stay there all day, a quiet badge of your labor. You sit, just for a moment, beside the window. The shutters are still closed, but light has found its way through the cracks. Thin lines of morning reaching across the wall, like pale brushstrokes. You rest your elbows on the table, feel the grain of the wood beneath your forearms, and breathe. The dough rises behind you. The fire sighs in the hearth. And outside, the village still slumbers. You've done nothing heroic this morning. You've lit a fire. You've mixed some flour. You've worked your hands through silence. But this, too, is a kind of magic. Simple, everyday, ancient, and it has begun. The dough rests now, covered in linen, rising in its own time, unhurried, unseen. And so, your attention returns to the other half of the morning's ritual, the oven. It stands there, stone-built, curved like a resting beast. Silent, cold, waiting. Its mouth is black and empty, the inside lined with soot and soot and soot. Years' worth of bread smoke layered like tree rings. You've cleaned it, but only as much as it asks. The rest, you leave. It remembers. The wood is stacked nearby, thin kindling on top, thicker logs beneath, and old twigs gathered from the forest's edge last autumn. Some still smell faintly of moss, others of old rain. You lift the first handful, lay it inside the belly of the oven. One stick, another, a crisscross pattern, built like a small cathedral of flame to be. Then straw, dry, gold, rustling softly, almost cheerful, as if it, too, knows it was born for this. You light a taper from the hearth, hold it like a candle, move slow, steady. You lower it to the straw, and then, a hush, a glow, the first curl of smoke, thin and white and curious. The fire stays awake like a child, groggy at first, then hungrier by the second. It catches, it grows, twigs pop and crack, curling into themselves. The oven breathes it in, greedy for the warmth. Soon it will roar, but for now, it whispers. You crouch nearby, watch it, tend it. You don't speak, because there's no one to speak to. And even if there were, this moment doesn't need language. You feed the fire slowly, not all at once. A thick log too soon will choke it, but a slow offering of sticks, placed just so, keeps it alive. You can feel the heat on your cheeks, that soft sting that signals the oven is waking, stretching, blinking toward its working day. Smoke rises lazily from the flue, drifting out toward the sky in loose gray spirals. It smells of pine bark, and old timber, and labor. Some days, you sit here and think of nothing. Other days, you remember stories told by bakers long gone. How one forgot the fire and ruined the bread. How another baked during a wedding and fed an entire family for a week. How someone once baked at night, just for the sound of it, the quiet, the heat, the rhythm. You think of those stories now, but not with longing, just as smoke spirits passing through the morning air. You are not baking like them. You are just baking, as you always do. The oven begins to hum. You don't hear it exactly, but you sense it, that strange, still warmth, like the inside of a wool cloak after a long walk, or the breath of a horse on a winter morning. The fire shifts. It crackles lower, settling in. The flames no longer chase the air. They've made themselves at home. This is the point where many would look for a thermometer, for a perfect reading, a number, but you don't need one. You've never needed one. You know the heat, by the way the stone sweats, by the color of the soot, by how long you can hold your hand near the mouth of the oven, before instinct tells you, enough. This is the hidden part of the baker's day, the part no one sees, no one thanks. But without it, nothing else works. Without the fire, properly started, properly watched, the dough will never become anything more than paste and hope. So you watch it, and tend it, and listen. You rise slowly, stretch your back, wipe soot from your fingers onto your apron. There is nothing clean about this work, and yet, somehow, it always leaves you lighter. You check the dough again, lift the cloth gently. It has grown, not by magic, but something close to it. It's rounded now, fuller. The top is smooth and soft, like the back of a child's hand. You touch it, barely, and it springs back just slightly, just enough. Soon, it will be ready to shape. But for now, the oven must be fed one last log, just to hold the heat, just to carry you into the baking hours ahead. You glance out the window. The sky is soft now, clouds drifting pale across the low morning sun. The village still sleeps, but not for much longer. You brush your hands against your apron one more time. The fire behind you burns clean. The dough before you waits. And the morning, still quiet, still slow, leans gently toward the work to come. The dough is ready. You know it not by the clock, but by the way it feels when you press it, gently, reverently, and it offers only the slightest pushback. It's rested, it's risen, it's become. You lift the linen cloth. Steam, faint and warm, escapes from beneath it. The smell is comforting, faintly sour, alive, the scent of a story still being written. You slip your hands under the dough, cradle it like something fragile, though you know it is not. It has strength now, elastic, springy, quietly determined. You place it onto the wooden board. Dust the top with flour, not too much, just enough to ease the shaping. And so, the shaping begins. You don't rush. There is no need. The fire will hold its heat. The village is still waking, and your hands know this dance well. You press gently, then fold one side over, then the other, You shape it into a round, a boule. You smooth the surface with your palm, drawing the tension across the top like pulling cloth tight across a bed. Each movement is slow, intentional, calm. There is no wasted gesture, nothing hurried. Each loaf has its own pace, its own way of being shaped. You reach for another. This one, a baited, an oblong loaf. You roll the dough with both hands, nudging it out, lengthening it slightly, tucking the ends in, making sure the seam sits quietly beneath the shape. You work in near silence, only the sound of flour shifting, cloth rustling, wood creaking beneath your elbows. You glance at the fire, still glowing, still strong. You nod to yourself. Good. You return to the dough. Now comes the scoring. A blade, small and sharp, kept in a wooden sheath. You hold it gently, as if it were a quill. You tilt the loaf slightly. Score one smooth line across the top. Clean and quick, not deep, just enough to guide the rise, to give the bread space to breathe. Another loaf, another pattern, a cross, a diagonal, a set of leaves, almost. These aren't decorations. They are invitations. The marks you make so the crust can open, so it doesn't tear in protest. The bread is speaking. You're just helping it find the words. You place the shaped loaves into baskets. Bannettons lined with cloth, worn from years of service. Each loaf has its place. Each basket, a memory. Sometimes you think of the people who'll eat these. A child tearing crust with both hands. A mother soaking a slice in stew. An old man chewing slowly by the fire. You don't know them all, but your work will reach them. That's enough. Outside, the light has changed. Not yet bright, but no longer soft. Shadows grow shorter. Roofs glisten with dew. Someone coughs on the street. A shutter creaks open. The baker's hour is ending. The village hour is beginning. But your work is still quiet, still patient. The shaped loaves rest now, just a little longer. You cover them once more. Let the final rise begin. You sit again. Stretch your hands out in your lap. They ache, just slightly. But it's the good kind of ache. The ache that says, you've done something today. You've made something. The air smells of flour and fire. And waiting. A few birds perch on the sill outside. Sparrows, probably. Looking in. Unbothered. Just curious. You whisper to them. Though they don't stay. They have places to be. You do too. But for now, you let the stillness hold you. The dough will rise again. And then it will go into the oven. And then, bread. But this moment, this shaping, this scoring, this gentle second proof, is where the transformation begins. Not in heat, not in flame, but in care, in quiet, in the steady hands of someone who's done this 1,000 times, and will do it 1,000 more. The loaves are ready, each one shaped by hand, scored with care, tucked into its basket, and now, risen. They don't puff up like balloons. It's subtler than that. A gentle swelling, a soft rounding, a quiet affirmation that the yeast has done its work, and that the time was well spent. You remove the cloths. The linen peels back slowly, sticking in places, but you're used to that. The dough has a slight sheen now. You can smell it, not strong, but full of promise. The scent of something almost finished, but not quite. You glance to the oven. The fire has burned down just right. No longer leaping, just glowing. Red coals, hot stones. It has become what it was meant to be. An invisible force. Not seen, only felt. Only known by what it gives. You clear out the embers. Scrape the hearth floor slowly with your metal peel. Ash drifts like gray snow. You move gently, so as not to disturb the heat too much. Then, a quick swipe of the damp cloth on a long stick. Steam hisses as it touches the stone. Cleans the surface, leaving it just warm enough, just dry enough, just right. You move toward the table. The first loaf rests in your hands. It's soft, but stable. It holds its shape, but yields slightly to your grip. You guide it onto the wooden peel, slowly, tilting it with both hands. Fingers curled beneath like a cradle. Then a quick jerk, a confident motion, and the dough slides into the oven, onto the hot stone, into the heat. It lands without drama. A quiet thud. No applause. Just potential. You do it again, and again. Each loaf nestled carefully beside the others. with space to grow. They won't crowd each other. You've learned that lesson. The peel returns to your side. The oven door is closed. And now, you wait. There is nothing to do now but let time pass. And so you do. You sit, not in front of the oven, but off to the side, where you can feel the warmth, but not be consumed by it. The room is quiet again. The kind of quiet you can only hear after the labor is done, when all the energy has been spent, and all that remains is the unfolding. The scent begins slowly. First, just warmth. Then, a sweetness, a deepening richness. The crust forming, turning golden in the dark. The sugars inside the dough begin to brown. The yeast, now finished with its task, gives way to the oven's heat. The transformation is full and final. There's no going back. It is bread now, not fully formed, not ready to eat, but it has passed the threshold. You listen. Sometimes, if the room is very quiet, you can hear it. A soft crackling, the stretching of crust, the slow bloom of air pockets deep within the crumb, the sound of becoming. You check it, but not too soon, not too often. Opening the oven too early lets the heat escape, interrupts the rise. You've learned patience. It wasn't given to you. You earned it. You trust your nose, your ears, your sense of time. Not numbers, not timers, only the quiet wisdom of repetition. Eventually, you peek inside, just a little, and there, the first loaf has begun to color. The slash you made across the top has opened. It's stretched wide, like a smile. Steam clings to the crust. The scent is now unmistakable. To some, it's the smell of hunger. To others, comfort. To you, it is simply the smell of the work. Completed honestly. You close the oven again. Let the heat seal in its gift. 10 more minutes. Maybe 12. No one else in the world is thinking about that number. But you are. And that's what makes the difference. You clean the table slowly, though you'll need it again soon. You sweep the stray flour, fold the cloths, arrange the peel against the wall, stack the baskets, all in silence, all with care. At last, the moment comes. You reach for the peel, step toward the oven, open it. The air escapes, hot, sharp, scented with crust and earth and ash. You slide the peel under the first loaf. Lift gently. The base lifts clean. The crust holds its shape. You hear it, a small crackle, like footsteps on frost. You place the loaf on the cooling rack. Then another, and another. They sit beside each other, rounded, golden, still steaming slightly. Their scent fills every corner of the room. You breathe it in, not because it's new, but because it's known. The fire has done its part. The flour, the water, the starter, they've all kept their promises. And now, the bread rests. As do you. The bread is out. The fire has given its gift. And now the loaves rest, lined in quiet rows on the wooden slats of your cooling rack, steam rising in soft spirals from their crusts. You don't touch them. Not yet. They are too hot, too fresh, too full of motion still. There's a tenderness to fresh bread. It needs this time, this pause, this breath between transformation and serving. You sit. Once again, your stool creaks beneath you. A familiar sound, like a friend shifting in their sleep. You let your hands rest in your lap. Still floured, still warm. You don't bother to wipe them yet, because you're not finished. Not entirely, but the hardest part is done. You listen, and yes, if you're still, truly still, you can hear the loaves. Not loudly, but clearly. Tiny crackles, whispers of crust expanding as it cools. A chorus of small sounds that only bakers really know how to hear. They speak to you, not in words, but in release, in relief, in the language of labor completed. You lean forward, inhale deeply. Each loaf carries a different scent. Slightly, one with a touch more roast, one with a sweetness you can't quite place. Perhaps from a patch of sun-warmed wheat, perhaps from memory. They are golden, not bright gold, but warm, rich, the kind of color you only get when the fire has listened. And when you've listened too, you lift one, finally, gently, cradling it like a warm stone from the river. You turn it over, tap the base with your knuckles. A hollow sound, a soft thud. It tells you all you need to know. It's baked through. It's solid. It's right. You set it down again. Not because you have to, but because you want to. You want to admire it just a little longer. Let it cool the way it wants to. Undisturbed. A second loaf. A third. You check them all. Your touch is habitual. Like a ritual. Like smoothing a child's blanket before bed. The table is clear now. You wipe it slowly. Draw a damp cloth in gentle arcs across the surface. The flour lifts like dust from an old book. The marks of your work vanish, but only on the surface. They linger elsewhere. In scent. In crust. In memory. Outside, the village is fully awake. You hear the hooves of a cart on stone. Voices. The squeak of a wheelbarrow. A call from one window to another. A church bell ringing softly. Its chime lost slightly in the breeze. But in here, peace. A kind of hush that only comes after heat. After waiting. After effort. You pour a small cup of water. From the same jug you used to mix the dough. It's slightly cool now. You sip it slowly. Let it rest on your tongue. Let it remind you. This, too, is part of the rhythm. Water in. Water out. Flow and rest. Neat and cool. You stretch your legs. Let your shoulders settle. Let the ache wash through you without resistance. You've earned it. You lift the cloth from a single loaf. Run your hand across the crust. Still warm. Still slightly soft at the edges. But setting. You could slice it now. It would tear. Steam rising too fast. You'd lose the crumb. So you don't. You let it be. Soon, you'll prepare the deliveries. Wrap each loaf in cloth or place it in baskets. Your niece will come knocking. Her footsteps light. Her voice louder than the morning needs. She'll carry them out. Door to door. Bread for the merchant's wife. Bread for the blacksmith. Bread for the family with 6 children, who always forget to pay on time. You'll send the bread anyway, because this isn't about coin. Not really. It's about care. About quiet constancy. About giving something steady to a world that shifts too often. You look at the loaves again. Still resting. Still breathing. In their own way. You don't need to speak. They don't need to answer. The work is done. And now, you wait. A little longer. For them. For the day. For what comes next. There's a knock at the door. Not a loud one. More of a rap scrape. Impatient, but not unkind. You don't need to guess who it is. She's always just a little early. And always pretending not to be. You open the door slowly. The morning air spills in. Cool and bright. Smelling faintly of damp stone. Flowers. And distant wood smoke. And there she is. Basket in hand. Hair escaping her kerchief in soft wisps. One boot muddy. The other spotless. She grins. Not politely. But fully. Like someone who doesn't yet know how to hold anything back. Am I late? She asks. Though she knows the answer. You shake your head. You never tell her she's early. Because this, too, is a rhythm. And Hayes is one you've come to depend on. She steps inside. Barely. She always hovers near the threshold. Respectful of the space. But too curious to stay away. She peers at the loaves cooling on the rack. Her eyes light up. They always do. Are those for the miller's wife? She points at a braided one. You nod. And that one? The big round one with the split top. For the innkeeper. She nods solemnly. As if bread delivery is a secret art. And maybe, in a way, it is. She lifts her basket onto the table. It's bigger than it looks. Woven tightly, but fraying at the corners. Stained with hues of crumbs and errands and rain. She pulls out a linen cloth. You help her line the bottom. Together, in practiced silence, you begin to pack the loaves. Each one has a place. Each order, a memory. 2 small loaves for the midwife. She prefers the dark crust. A longer one for the smith, who eats on the job and never thanks you, but never misses a day. A special bond for the little boy who lives above the stable. He never orders, but you always include one. He's quiet, polite, always barefoot. She tucks the cloth over the top, secures the lid, lifts the basket into the crook of her arm. Like it's nothing at all, though you know it's nearly as heavy as she is. You glance down at her boots again. Still one muddy. Still no explanation. She catches your look and grins. Shrugs. Says nothing. It's her way. Some things don't need explaining. Some things just are. She turns to go, but pauses at the door. You'll have more for the afternoon. She asks it every day. You nod, just as you do every day. She smiles again, pulls the door open, and steps back into the morning. You watch her go, down the narrow street. Her steps quick, her head high, her basket balanced perfectly despite the sway of her gait. She waves once, without turning around, then disappears around the corner. Gone, but not far. You close the door slowly, not to shut the world out, but to hold the warmth in. The room feels a little quieter now. Not empty, just paused. Like an exhale. The deliveries will be made. She's careful with them, even when she pretends not to be. The bread will reach their hands, their tables, their mouths, and they won't think of you. Not directly, not most of them. But that's not why you bake. You bake for the sound of the crust crackling in the morning quiet, for the way the dough feels under your palms, for the fire's slow gift, for the way her basket swings as she walks down the street. You sit again, for a moment, let the silence wrap back around you. Then, you rise. There's more dough to shape, more fire to tend, more waiting, more work, and a little more warmth to give. The door closes behind her, and the room falls still again. The scent of bread lingers in the air, mingling with the ash and flour and quiet. The loaves are gone now, all but one. Your breakfast. You save it without thinking, the way you always do, set aside at the very start. A single, warm piece, from the first batch to cool. It sits on the sideboard now, covered in a cloth. Not much, not fancy, just a small round, barely larger than your hand, with a split top and a soft belly. You lift it gently. It's still warm. The base is golden and solid. The top has cooled enough to touch without sting. You carry it to the table. No plate, just a wooden board. You've never needed more. You cut it slowly. The blade glides through the crust with a soft crackle, then gives way to the crumb. Open, tender, elastic. Steam curls up, gentle and fragrant. Not sharp, just soft, comforting. Home. You spread a little butter, not a thick slab, just enough to melt into the open bread. It glistens slightly, sinks in, disappears. You take the first bite, and close your eyes. There is salt, and warmth, and that slight tang from the starter. Barely there. A depth, a quiet richness, like the low hum of a cello beneath a soft song. Your shoulders ease. The muscles along your neck begin to loosen. The ache in your back, so familiar you've stopped noticing it, shifts just slightly, as if to say, yes, that's better. You chew slowly. There's no need to rush. The deliveries are out. The oven has cooled. The morning is yours again, if only for a little while. You pour yourself something warm, a mug of weak tea, or perhaps just hot water with a curl of mint. There's no milk today. You gave the last to the neighbor yesterday, but you don't mind. The mug warms your hands. The steam rises, fogging your vision slightly. You sip, and the heat travels down your throat, like a small fire, settling low and slow in your chest. You stare out the window. The shutters are wide open now. The village is awake. You see the cart rolling past with vegetables, children laughing near the well, a hen wandering too far from the yard, someone calling out a greeting to someone else. The day is unfolding, and you are here, still, quiet, fed. It's not a feast, but it's enough, more than enough. You finish your bread slowly. Let each bite anchor you, not to the work, but to the why of it. Because in this moment, this tiny, private meal, you are reminded, this isn't just what you do, it's who you are. You wipe your fingers, fold the cloth, gather the crumbs from the board. Even the smallest pieces are saved. For the birds, for the hens, for something. Nothing is wasted, not even rest. You lean back in your chair, not far, just enough to look up at the ceiling beams. They are old, dark, strong, like the hands that shaped them. You imagine, briefly, what the baker before you saw, when they sat in this same spot. If they had the same breakfast, the same aches, the same quiet thanks. You hope so. A breeze moves through the window. It brushes your face, like the breath of someone you once knew. It smells of the street, of horses, of bread, of summer starting to stay. And it tells you, you should get up soon. There's more to do. But for now, just another moment. To sit, to breathe, to hold warmth in your chest. and stillness in your limbs. Just another sip, another blink toward the window, another second of being full. The morning has passed, but it has left you something. Not just the bread, not just the silence, but the reminder that in a world always rushing, always turning, you have carved out this space. Small, still, yours. The last sip of tea is gone. The bread is only a memory now, a warm echo in your belly, and a scattering of crumbs brushed from your apron. The quiet part of the day is fading, but not harshly, just gently pulling you back into the rhythm of the hours. You rise slowly, not because of stiffness, though there is some, but because there is no need to rush. No bells ring for you. No clocks command your next move. Only the slow ticking of chores, one after the other, like stones placed in a row. You carry your cup to the basin, pour a little water from a pitcher. The sound is small, soft, like rain on linen. You rinse, wipe, set it down. The cup dries in the sunbeam that falls across the counter. A streak of golden light that hasn't moved all morning, but soon will. You wipe the table, brush flour from the floor, fold the cloths used to cover the dough. You shake them gently by the door, a small cloud of flour dancing in the breeze. Before falling away like a sigh, you hang them to air. Let the wind finish the work. Your hands have begun. Outside, the world hums. A cart rumbles down the lane, wooden wheels clicking over the stones. You hear the merchant boys laugh, high and untroubled. A pair of doves flutter past the shutters. Their wings sound like paper tearing in the wind. You tie your apron again, smoother now, clean, and step out into the day. The village isn't large, just enough houses to count on both hands. A well at the center, a smithy with its slow, patient hammer, a chapel whose bell has not yet rung today, and the bakery, your quiet corner. You walk with no destination, just the old route your feet know by feel. Down the path, past the laundry lines swaying with linens, past the herb garden that spills slightly into the road. Sage, rosemary, a single pot of mint. You brush your hand across the leaves as you pass. They thank you with scent. You nod to the weaver's wife. She waves back, a spindle in one hand, her other hand shading her eyes from the sun. Two children run past, barefoot and laughing. One carries a crust of bread, still warm, still yours. They don't notice you. They don't need to. That's how you like it. You pause at the well. The stones are cool to the touch, darkened by the bucket that drips steadily with each draw. You lean against the edge for a moment, not to rest, just to feel it, to let the cool of the stone balance the warmth of the sun. A cat slinks by, brown and lean. She pauses to sniff your boots, then moves on, disinterested. At the apothecary's window, a sprig of lavender hangs to dry. The scent is faint, but enough to make you smile. You think about bringing some home. Maybe tomorrow, maybe when your basket isn't full of errands. But today, your hands are free, and you keep walking. The chapel door is open. Inside, it's quiet, even quieter than your kitchen. You don't go in. You don't need to, but you stand there a moment, listening, letting the hush of the stone walls settle around you. A cough echoes from the back pew. Someone else has come seeking silence. You step away, quiet as you came. Back down the lane. The cobbler waves you over, wants to ask about tomorrow's batch. His wife prefers the rolls with seeds, not crust. You nod, make a note, silently. You'll remember. You always do. He thanks you with a nod. No coins exchanged. Just knowledge. Just trust. The sun shifts. It's higher now. The shadows shorter. Your body reminds you. There's more dough waiting. More to mix. More to knead. But you aren't burdened by it. You're carried, moved gently forward, by the knowledge that this, too, is part of the shape of the day. You return slowly, each footstep light, measured, no urgency, no worry, only the steady return. To the fire, the flour, the next rising, and to yourself. You return through the same doorway, its wooden frame familiar beneath your hand, its hinges sighing softly, welcoming you back. The warmth is held inside, not from the fire anymore, that has long gone to coal, but from the work, from the rhythm of it all. There's flour on the floor again, a soft trail you didn't notice before, your own steps, the mark of movement, the echo of labor. The second batch is waiting. In the corner, beneath cloth. Not risen yet. Not fully, but nearly. You check it without lifting the cloth. Just a touch to the bowl. A hand rested gently against the curve of ceramic. Still cool. Still breathing. You wait a little longer. Not long. Just long enough. You set out what you need. The same wooden spoon. The same wide bowl. The pitcher half full with water. Another pinch of salt. A quiet scattering of flour over the counter. It drifts downward like snow. Like silence made visible. You pull back the cloth. The dough has risen well. Soft and strong beneath the surface. You turn it out onto the board. It lands with a gentle thud. Not heavy, but sure. You divide it carefully. Not by scale. Not by number. But by feel. Each portion weighed in your hands. Each piece shaped with care. Nothing rushed. Nothing wasted. You knead again. Hands pressing. Folding. Stretching. The same motion as this morning. But somehow softer now. Less urgency. Less push. More flow. The dough is warm beneath your palms. Elastic. Alive. Outside, a breeze moves the window's lace curtain. It shifts like water. Like breath. The scent of the herbs from the garden reaches in. Basil, thyme, a little lavender. The room smells of flower and earth and thyme. You work slowly. No one is watching. And that's what makes it beautiful. There's no audience here. No rush. No applause. Just the bowl. The bench. The dough. And you. The loaves take shape. Again. Rounds. Batteds. A braid for the cobbler's wife. Your hands remember every fold. Every seam. The way the dough resists. Then relaxes. Then yields. The cloth-lined baskets are waiting. Each one filled. Then covered. Another rest. Another breath in the cycle. You wipe the board clean. Brush flour from your hands. Stretch your arms. Roll your shoulders. Outside, the chapel bell rings. Midday. High sun. The turning point of the day. You listen to it fade. Each echo growing softer. Until it is gone. You glance at the firewood. You'll need to light the oven again. Not yet, but soon. You've done this 1,000 times. And still, the second bake has its own feel. The light hits the loaves differently. The air is warmer. Slower. You sit. Just for a moment. Let your hands rest on your knees. Let your breath settle. Like flour at the bottom of a bowl. Even in motion, there must be pause. Even in rhythm, there is stillness. You look over at the proofing dough. Covered. Still. Not yet ready, but well on its way. You smile, because this is what it is. The waiting, the shaping, the fire, the crust. Again and again, day after day, a quiet life, woven from simple, repeated tasks. And yet, never dull, the second batch is rising. The oven will burn again, and the day will curve. Gently, toward evening, the second rise is almost complete. The dough rests beneath its linen cover, lifting it slowly, breathing in quiet rhythm. You check it with care. No rush, just a light hand. The soft press of a finger. It leaves a slight dent. And slowly, very slowly, the dough returns. Yes, it's ready. The oven, too, has been prepared. You lit it again an hour ago. This time not from scratch, but from embers. The second fire is easier. Still, it requires attention. You open the flue. You chose your wood. You watched it take. Now, it glows again. Hot, deep, steadier than before. Not roaring, just waiting. You draw the coals to the side. Scrape the hearth gently, and sweep the stones with a damp cloth. It sizzles. A sharp, familiar sound. Then silence again. You take a breath. You're ready. The second loaves are softer than the first. The dough has taken the warmth of the room. The weight of the day. It has risen in the light. And now rests in your hands. Like something alive. And willing. You score again. This time, slower. A diagonal here. A crescent there. A few are left unmarked. You wonder, briefly, how they'll split on their own. You let them decide. One by one, the loaves slide into the oven. You place them with care, the way you might lay down a quilt on a sleeping child. Each one finds its space. Each one holds its silence. You close the door and wait. Evening has begun its descent. You feel it more than see it. The light has turned cooler, softer, longer across the floorboards. The edges of things are blurrier now. The wind has shifted. The birds are fewer. The village is beginning to dim. You light a small lamp. The flame flickers, then steadies. Its glow doesn't fight the dark. It joins it, kindly. You sit again, not with weariness, but with a fullness. The kind that comes from doing the work well. Not perfectly, just truly. You watch the oven. There's no rush now. You can read the signs without checking. The smell that deepens. The warmth of the air. The feel of the minutes slipping past. The loaves are changing. You know it, even without looking. You check once. Just once. The crusts have browned. A golden hue. Touched slightly with fire. The slashes have bloomed open. The insides rising outward like breath released. You pull the first loaf out. It's heavier than before. Firm. Proud. The base sounds deep when tapped. A hollow strength. You nod. Another loaf. Then another. Steam clings to them for a moment. Before lifting. Vanishing. You line them up on the rack. Not as many as this morning. But enough. Always enough. Outside, the sky begins to bruise. Soft purples. Gray blues. Pale gold just above the hills. The village settles. A child is called inside. A door creaks shut. A dog barks once. Then falls silent. The scent of the bread fills every part of the room. It clings to your sleeves. Settles into the cracks of the windowsill. Mingles with the evening air. It is not loud. Not even rich. Just right. Honest. Simple. You pour yourself a small bowl of soup. Whatever's left from yesterday. It warms your hands more than your stomach. But still, you're glad for it. You tear a piece of crust from a cooling heel. Steam curls out again, like breath in cold air. You dip, eat, and breathe. You don't say much. There's no one to say it to. But the silence doesn't feel empty. It feels earned. Like a room that remembers your footsteps. Like a house that holds your rhythms. Without demanding anything in return. The loaves cool. You watch them. You don't need to do anything else. You've already done it. And now, the warmth is yours. For just a little while longer. Darkness gathers gently. Not like a curtain drawn at once. But like ink spreading slowly across parchment. The small lamp on the counter glows amber. Its light trembling with every quiet draft. Embers in the oven gutter low. Offering a final, soft pulse of heat. Before they surrender to ash. Outside, the village has fallen hush. No wheels on stone. No distant hammer. No playful shouts. Only a dog's yawn of bark. Answered by nothing. Then swallowed by night. You breathe in the stillness. And feel it settle over your shoulders. Like a wool cloak fresh from a line. The day's last chores wait. Never loud. Never large. But always there. Patient as stars. You take a damp cloth. Wipe the wooden table once more. Flower ghosts rise. Catch the lamplight. And vanish like thoughts you meant to remember. You stack the proofing baskets. Linen linings folded neat. Edges smooth with thumb and patience. Each basket bears the faint scent. Of warm crust. Of a dough's quiet heartbeat. You place them on the shelf. One atop another. A tidy tower of tomorrow's promise. By the hearth. You rake the coals apart. Slow crescents of red. Turning to black-gray islands. They glow like distant villages seen from a hill. Then dim, then rest. With a long iron hook, you draw the ash forward. Spread it thin. The heat eases. The room exhales. You leave the hearth door ajar, a sign to the night that the day's labor is done. Next, the tools. The wooden peel, its edge worn smooth as river stone, leans against the wall. You brush stray crumbs from its face. Run fingertips along its grain. Set it gently beside the others. The scoring blades return to their small box. Wrapped in oiled cloth. You close the lid as if tucking in a child. Nothing here is hurried. Night rewards slowness. It asks for care. You wash your hands in the basin. Cool water. Soft soap of lion herbs. Flower clouds swirl. Turn the water cloudy. Then clear again. You watch your palms. Crisscrossed by faint red lines. Slightly swollen at the base of each thumb. Dusted white in the creases no soap quite reaches. Hands that own the bread. Hands that speak in dough. In fire. In silence. You dry them on an old cloth. Hang it by the stove. where a last ember's warmth will ease the damp before dawn. A floorboard pups. Wood settling. House sighing. You pause, listening. Nothing more. Just the building remembering itself. You fetch a small candle. Touch its wick to the lamp's flame. The new light blooms. Smaller, softer, made for corridors and corners. With it you walk the short hallway to the storeroom. Sacks of flour rest there, tiered like quiet hills. You check the weight of one. Nod to yourself. Enough for tomorrow. You lift a sack half full. Carry it back to the kitchen bench. A gentle thud on seasoned wood. It will warm overnight. Lose the chill of the storeroom. Be kinder beneath your fingers come dawn. You glance at the cooling rack. Loaves now rest in deep shadow. Their crusts have stilled. If they speak, their words are only for the dark. Two will go to neighbors before sunrise, in thanks for a shared bucket of well water last week. One you'll keep. Tomorrow's breakfast. Tomorrow's strength. The rest wait for the early buyers. 4 hungry bellies that greet you. Before the rooster finds his voice, you drape a wide cloth over them. A thin muslin veil. Breathable. Protective. Then secure it with a cedar pin. It smells faintly of forests you may never see. The lamp's oil is low. You trim its wick. Pinch it out. Instantly the room draws closer, held only by the candle's small flame and the pale wash of moonlight. Through the shutters, you open one shutter a hand width. Cool night air slips in, carrying the scent of damp earth, distant rye fields, and the river beyond the mill. A thin ribbon of silver cloud crosses the moon, then drifts on. You close your eyes. Let the breeze pass over your face, cooling, clearing, telling your skin that it, too, may rest. You move to the cot in the corner. It is simple. Straw mattress, linen sheet, wool blanket mended twice. You sit on its edge. Feel the straw shift beneath your weight, with a gentle rustle, like wheat ready for harvest. Boots come off first, placed neatly side by side, toes facing the door. Then the apron, folded and set on the stool. You run a thumb over a smear of soot on the hem. Smile at it. Let it be. You lie back. The blanket draws over you. Scratchy. Comforting. Somewhere outside, an owl calls once, answering another farther off. Their voices fade into the hush. In the darkness behind your eyelids, you replay the day's small miracles. Spark becoming flame. Flour becoming dough. Dough becoming bread. Bread becoming warmth. In the hands of those you hardly know. No triumph louder than a heartbeat. No glory brighter than firelight. Yet enough. Always enough. Tomorrow will come. Early and certain. With cold stone floors. And empty bowls. Waiting to be filled again. But tonight, the work is finished. The oven sleeps. The doughs dream in linen. And you drift toward rest. Carried by the gentle rise and fall of your own breathing, as steady as kneading, as soft as new-baked crumb. Sleep comes easily now, not all at once, but gently, as if the blankets have reached through the dark and drawn you slowly downward, into a place where time loosens its hold. The bed cradles your weight. The straw shifts beneath you, not to disturb, but to settle, to remember you. Your breath grows longer, deeper. The aches of the day dissolve, not vanished, but softened, and in the space between one breath and the next, dreams begin to rise, slow and warm, like dough left too long beneath a linen cloth. You find yourself somewhere familiar, but lighter, a field, perhaps. Wheat stalks reach toward the sky, tall, golden, endless. They ripple with the wind, not fast, but in long, rolling waves, like a lullaby that doesn't need words. You walk there, barefoot. The earth is dry and warm beneath your soles. It holds the memory of sunlight, without burning. Your fingers trail the tops of the wheat, a soft, brushing rhythm that soothes more than surprises. The field smells of summer, not the heat of it, but the softness, the kind that wraps around you at dusk and tells you you're safe. Ahead, a small stone oven sits, in the center of the field, as if it grew there, like a tree or a story. Its chimney smokes, thin white curls, that rise toward a sky with no clouds. The door is open. The fire glows within, not fierce, but steady, a heart, burning patiently. You sit beside it, watching the flames move, as if in thought. You aren't baking now, you're just being. And still, in the oven's warmth, you feel that familiar presence. The dough rising somewhere near, the crust whispering its readiness, the unseen hands of time, doing their quiet work. You close your eyes in the dream, and the world shifts again. You're back in your kitchen, but not quite. It's quieter here. The windows are open, but no breeze moves them. The loaves on the rack are glowing faintly, as if holding the last light of the sun. Long after it has set, you reach for one, but it lifts itself, floating slightly, then settling again. It's not magic, it's memory. This is a place made of all your days, laid atop one another, like thin cloths, folded with care. On the table, your wooden spoon hums faintly. You pick it up, and in your hands, it becomes heavy again, with the weight of mornings, of labor, of meals made for others. And somehow, this is comforting, even in dreams. You return to what you know. Then, a voice, not loud, not sharp, just a whisper. It says, tomorrow, and nothing else. But that is enough, because in that one word, you hear everything. The dough that will need folding, the fire that will need coaxing, the soft knock of your delivery girl's boots, the quiet joy of the first slice, the hush of flour as it meets wood. Tomorrow is not a burden. It is a gift. You drift further. Even the dream begins to soften now. Edges blur. Scenes fade. Everything becomes a rhythm. Step. Knead. Rise. Bake. Cool. Sleep. The breath of the bread. The breath of your body. Rising. Falling. Together. The field returns once more. But the wheat is taller now. You can't see over it. And yet, you feel no fear. Only peace. Because the path is under your feet. And the oven still smokes in the distance. And the sky holds its light. Just a little longer. Just for you. You turn once. Just before waking. Not with your body, but with your mind. You glance back at the day. At the loaves. The dust. The smile of the delivery girl. The glow of the fire. The quiet sip of morning tea. And you thank it. All of it. Not aloud. Just inwardly. The way a baker gives thanks. With hands. With quiet. With care. Tomorrow waits. But for now, you sleep. And in the deep, warm dark, you rest. As completely as bread upon a cooling rack. No longer rising. But not yet gone. Holding heat. In your center. Still. Soft. Enough. There's a moment before morning. When the world forgets itself. Not quite night. Not yet day. The sky is neither black, nor blue, but something in between. A hush of gray, the color of flour just before water touches it. The air is cooler now, not cold, but curious. It slips through the cracks in the shutters, curls around your ankles, nudges at your hands, and you stay. You don't wake all at once. No bell, no call, just a soft, steady drift upward. From dreams of ovens, to the feel of straw beneath your back. Your eyes blink open to near dark. You know this hour. You've always known it. The stillness before birds begin. The silence before water boils. The fire is out. The lamp is dry. But the world is full of everything waiting to begin. You rise. Slowly. Quietly. The blanket falls away. The floor is cool beneath your bare feet. The first thing you do is stretch. Shoulders back. Arms long. You hear the soft pop of joints, the whisper of your spine relining with the world. You light the lamp again. It flickers at first, a small, unsure flame, then steadies. The kitchen glows, golden at the edges, soft in the corners. The light doesn't chase the dark. It sits beside it, patient, kind. You reach for your apron, still folded from the night before. The fabric is cool, a little stiff. You smooth the creases with both hands. One tie, then the other. A familiar embrace. You check the flour first. Always. The sack on the bench is exactly where you left it. Its surface is flat, untouched, waiting. You open the top. Run your hand through the fine powder. It clings to your skin. Marks you. Gently. There's enough. More than enough. Then, the water. You lift the heavy jug from beside the basin. Pour just enough into a bowl. It catches the light, dances a little, then stills. You set out the salt, the starter, already bubbling faintly in its jar. Alive before you. You breathe in, deep, the first true breath of the day. Outside, a bird sings once. A single note, then quiet again. The very beginning. A beginning. You smile, not because of joy, but because of rhythm. Because everything is where it should be. You begin the dough. The first stir of flour and water. Feels like the start of a song that only you know. It resists at first. A little too dry, a little too slow. But then it yields. You add the salt, the starter. Mix again. Each motion is measured, not by time, but by feel, by trust in your hands. The dough is rough now, but it will smooth. You cover it gently. Let it sit. Let it think. You know better than to rush. The dough rises, on its own terms. You turn your attention to the oven. The coals have long gone cold. You kneel beside it. Stack the wood. Pine and birch this time. Dry, split, clean. You strike the flint. It catches. A spark. A whisper of fire. The kindling flays. You feed it gently. A little more wood. A little more air. Soon, the flames are licking at the stones of the hearth. They glow. They hum. You sit back, watching it. The first warmth of a new day spills across the floor, long and low and gold. The dough rests. The oven lives again. The birds begin their song in earnest now. Not many, but more than one. You glance toward the shutters. They are edged with light. You open them. The village is still asleep. Roofs dusted with dew. Windows closed. No footsteps yet, but the sky above is softening. Dark navy giving way to the first hint of pale rose. And on the far side of the fields, a rooster clears his throat. Just once. You wait. Then, he sings. The sound is sharp, brief, splits the silence cleanly in two. Night is over. Day has begun. You return to the dough. Uncover it. It has softened, relaxed. The surface is smooth now. Silk over muscle. You smile again. There is work ahead. But this moment, this single slice of time, just before it all begins, is yours. You press your palms to the dough and begin again. The dough is ready, soft, warm, and breathing. It has risen in the quiet, and now it waits in your hands. You sprinkle the bench with flour. Not too much, just a dusting, like mist over a hill at dawn. You lift the dough from the bowl. It stretches slightly, then folds into itself. The weight is even. The feel familiar. You divide it with practiced care. Each piece equal in size. Each one a promise. Your fingers shape the rounds. Tuck the edges. Press the seams. Turn the loaves with gentle palms. The motion is as natural now as breathing. No thought, only feel. You line the baskets again. Place the shaped dough inside. Each one rests in its nest of cloth and flour. You cover them. Let them rise. Again, everything in its time. The oven glows now. The stones hum with heat. The fire has settled, no longer reaching upward, but burning deep. Steady. Sure. You open the door. Let the heat touch your cheeks. It feels like being greeted, like being known. You score the loaves when they've risen just enough. A quick, confident hand. The blade slices the surface. It opens gently, like a sigh. Not a wound, but a beginning. Each cut is a signature, a shape only you make, a mark that tells the loaf. This is who you are now. You place them in the oven. Not rushed, not slow, just right. One by one, each with space around it, each with its own silence. You close the door and wait. Outside, the village stays. A shutter opens. A child runs across the yard. Boots scuff the road. Someone calls to someone else. A name, a greeting. The sun peaks above the hills. The world brightens, but gently, never all at once. You check the loaves halfway through. Their color deepens. Their shape expands. The kitchen smells alive. Not just of bread, but of comfort, of memory, of hands that shape, and fires that warm. You stand in the middle of your kitchen, watching the light move across the room. Your apron is dusted with flour. Your arms are strong. Your feet are sure. The first knock comes at the door, right on time. You don't answer yet. There is no hurry. You breathe. You turn back to the oven. You check the crust. Tap one loaf. It rings with that hollow sound. Done. You open the door fully. The heat rushes out and meets the morning air. They mix. Warmth and cool. Effort and ease. You lift the loaves. Place them on the rack. Steam rises. So does something else. Quiet pride. Not loud. Not boasting. Just full. You wrap 2 in cloth. Set them aside for neighbors. A third for the chapel. A fourth for the girl who helps on market days. Each bundle is tied with care, as if sending a letter. No words, just warmth. You answer the door at last. It's the delivery girl. Eyes still sleepy, but smiling. She knows the smell. She knows the weight of a warm loaf in her arms. You hand it to her. She nods, says nothing. You say nothing. The bread says enough. She walks down the path, disappearing into morning. You watch her go. You turn back to your kitchen. It's quiet again. The oven has cooled slightly. Your hands are empty, and still, you feel full. This is your rhythm. This is your life. Not grand, not loud, but real, honest, deep as crust, warm as crumb, soft as silence. At the start of day, you untie your apron, fold it once, set it aside. You make tea, sit at your table. The sun has cleared the window now. Everything is gold. You take a sip and smile.